They say the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is right now, today. When would right now be a good time to start flipping? Right now is the answer. Today we're going to talk about step one. How to assess a deal. Is it a good deal, a bad deal? Is the right neighborhood, not the right neighborhood? All these things we're going to talk about today, and when would right now be a good time to start?
Right here, right now. There's no other place I wanna be. Right here, right now.
The first question we have to ask ourselves when we find a potential deal is, what is the potential spread? Is there a possibility to make some real money? To do that, we're going to have to look at the comps. What are comps? They're comparable sales, right? Houses that sold in the same neighborhood that are roughly the same size, that have a lot of the similar attributes, and really, it's really important here to compare apples to apples. You don't want any goofies. I've spent a lot of times in my day, turning my head like this or squinting. Yeah, it looks like it could be just fine. You don't want to do that. You want to be honest with yourself. You don't want any goofies. You want real comps, apples to apples. Best way to pick comps is with the MLS. Now, if you don't have the MLS, you can use Zillow, you can use Realtor.com. You can do it. The MLS is by far better. My advice to you is to become friends with a realtor and find a realtor that will let you use their MLS so you can manipulate it. Today, I'm going to take you through ours and show you how we do it. Okay, this is our MLS, the NeoRex MLS Matrix, right? And what I've done is I've pulled up the search page, and what I've asked the search to do is to show me everything active, under contract, pending under contract, sold in the last 180 days within a quarter mile of my subject property, 646 Fowles Avenue. Now, my subject property, 646 Fowles Avenue, I've actually already bought it. But I want to walk you back through it. So let's start with that one. Now this one I actually found on the MLS, and you can see here that it was listed for $44,900, and I ended up paying $47,200 for it. Let's take a look at why. I happen to know this is a pretty good neighborhood. I've got a garage, which is good. I've got aluminum siding and decent roof, so I can tell from my pictures that I've got a pretty good house. And I just happen to know that the spread is there. But to prove it, I'm going to look at the comps. Okay, we can see that within a quarter mile, not much is active. I happen to know this one is actually pending. And the comps I really care about are the ones that are sold. And really only the best ones. Why? Because we're going to make our house the best. So let's start at 911 Damon. And we see it's a pretty nice little house. But it's only 941 square feet, and it sold for $94,900. Let's take a look at some pictures of it. Got a good roof, nice vinyl siding, nice driveway. Okay, kitchen's fine. Okay, so it's fine, and it sold for $100 a square foot. If mine sold for $100 a square foot, it sold for $150,000. Good sign, good start. Moving up the food chain, we have 650 East Glenwood. Let's take a peek at that one. We see that one sold for $95,000. Well, they were asking $94,900. It sold for a little bit more, and it did it in 11 days. So it must be pretty nice. Let's take a peek. Again, nicely painted. Got some vinyl siding, two-car garage, nice driveway. Oh, look at, very dark, very dark, very ugly. Oh my God, very, very ugly. And I know Glenwood is on a very busy street. So things are looking pretty good if they got $95,000 and they did it very quickly. And the house is almost as big as ours, as you can see, 1369. Ours is about 1,500 square foot. All right, finally on this comp list is 657 Ranny. Let's pull that sucker up. That one sold for $100,000. They listed it for $100,000, sold for $100,000 in one day on the market. Pretty darn good. We can see it is really about the same size if you consider include what was below grade. Take a look at the pictures. Pretty damn nice. They painted it gray they got with the program. Kind of weird looking kitchen floor, but kind of groovy, I guess. Oh, nicely staged with the welcome sign. Woo-hoo. Okay. Alright. So not bad. So $100,000 sold in one day. Those are our comps. So now we've proven there's some spread there, right? If we're buying it around $45,000 and it's worth at least $100,000, we've got some potential spread. The next step is we got to go lay eyes on the target property, and we have to assess the best we can just what it'll cost to fix that darn thing up. After we do that, we better drive these comps to make sure the setting is similar to the one that we're about to buy. Let's head out onto the road. So we've completed the initial parts of our assessment. We know there's a potential margin here. Now we got to dig into the details. 646 fouls, right? Want to start by telling you that houses are a mountain of pieces and parts, and it's very easy to get smitten by the charms of a house and forget about some of the potential faults. Time to be a detail guy. Now, I am not a detail guy. So for people like me, I created the property inspection checklist. What this does is it calls your attention to every single piece of a house, so you can't just gloss over it, right? I originally made this for our scouts when we were buying abroad, so they could guide them to each piece's parts. It'll also be a good tool for you, and you can download it for free at any time. Let's check it out. The guide is going to take us item by item, and it asks us to rate each piece 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest. Then there's also a section for the comments. Let's take a look at this roof. So this roof is in average condition. Most roofs will last about 30 years. I'd say this one's about halfway through it. How do I know? Well, you can see some of the shingles are starting to turn up just a little bit, but I think we can pass with this. I'm going to rate this roof a 3. Also, roofs come in basically 2 asphalt forms. The 3-tab shingles, which you see below, and dimensional shingles, which look like this. Next on the list, gutters and downspouts. Now we can see that these gutters and downspouts are in decent condition. Maybe they need a little paint to freshen them up. I'm gonna rate them a 4. Next up, the siding. Now this is aluminum siding, and it's in decent shape, needs a paint job. I'm gonna rank it a 3. Next to the windows, these are vinyl replacement windows, and that's just what we want. I'm gonna rank them a 4. There's nothing fancy about them. If they were, I'd be a 5, but nice vinyl replacement window, it's a 4. Next up, doors. Obviously this one had bad doors because we put this one on new. We just got started today. We'll see how they're doing. Anyways, I would call that a 5. It's a perfect brand new door. Now this is the front door. This is not a new door. Not a great door, but I'd call it good enough. I'll rank it a 3. Next up, the garage. What I'm looking for here is it straight up and down? Is it structurally sound? Is my siding good? And does my door open and close? This one checks out. Nothing fancy about it, but I'm gonna call it a 3. I'm also gonna mention that it is a 1.5 car garage versus a 1 or 2 or beyond, more, right? Decks are not on the checklist, but there is a spot for others. This deck is here, and I need to denote it because decks are worth something. This one also needs a little work, so I'm gonna call this one a deck in 2 condition. Another intangible plus about this house is a fenced-in backyard. That's not on the list, but you wanna note anything special or nice about the place. The air conditioner is perfectly functional, but it's not real new. I'll rank it a 3, and I'm glad we have it because not all houses do in Akron, Ohio. As you can see, the driveway, which is next on the list, not real desirable. It's gravel. It could be a little bit worse, but it could be a lot better if it was clean asphalt or concrete. I'm gonna give this driveway a 2. Next up is setting. Where does the house sit? Well, we're kind of on a main road here, as you can tell. That detracts from the value. However, we are close to a beautiful park with the playground. So intangible things like setting you want to put in there, and that's kind of part of that backyard deal too, where you have a nice deck, you have a fenced-in yard. How does the house situate? All right. The next one is the kitchen. The kitchen's a biggie. Obviously, my team got started doing what we do, but the kitchen when we first got it had good cabinets, good countertop sink, dishwasher. All that we're gonna stay. What the kitchen didn't have that we are going to change was an open floor plan. One of the things we commonly do is we knock walls out so we can build bars, and that's what we're going to do here. This kitchen, I would start it with a 4 because it's big, it's got a bunch of good cabinets to start. All right, they got started on the bathroom too already, darn it, but I'll show you some things that were existing. The surround and the tub were fine. The vanity cabinet is fine. Lights, fine. Mirror, fine. Floor, fine. I'm gonna rate this bathroom a 4. Next up on the checklist, flooring. Well, this flooring might not look like much now, but it's hardwood and it's easy to refinish and it'll look beautiful. I'm gonna give the flooring a 4. Next up is the furnace. This one's getting a little long in the tooth, getting a little older, but it works. I'm gonna give it a 3. Hot water tank, not bad. What we're looking for in a hot water tank is it doesn't have rust at the bottom. This guy does not have rust. I'm gonna rank it a 3. Electric panel, Romex wiring, looks fine. One thing you wanna be looking for, Federal Pacific. If it says Federal Pacific, they won't insure it, they're dangerous. This one's gonna be fine, I'll rate it a 4. Okay, the plumbing. This is galvanized plumbing. This is no good. You know why? When galvanized sits, it corrodes from the inside out. I'm gonna rank this plumbing a 2. Finally, on the checklist, the foundation. The foundation walls, and these are really important. And I gotta be honest with you, there have been many times where I've zoomed through a house and did not check my foundation and found a horizontal crack later that was bulging in. Very, very bad. You're always looking for horizontal cracks. Those are the ones that'll hurt you. The vertical cracks or the step cracks, not too bad. Be sure to check your foundations. Make sure you don't have any real cracks or crumbling or bulging. This one's fine. I'm gonna rate it a 4. All right, so Faust is a pretty good house, right? A lot of reusable stuff, ultimately why we bought it. Now it's time to drive the comps to make sure that your setting is as good as their setting. Make sure there's not something really special about theirs that's making it more valuable. This is the first one we looked at 911 Damon. This one sold for $94.9, which is about $100 a square foot because it's only 941 square foot. So ours is like 500 square foot bigger, and this one sold for $95. Got a nice garage, got a nice concrete drive. That's something we don't have. This one has vinyl siding, which is a little nicer than ours. This one has the dimensional shingle roofs, which is nicer than ours. So I would say this one's a little bit cuter, but ours is a lot bigger, and that counts. Let's go to the next one. All right, this is 650 East Glenwood. This one sold for $95,000, and it's the one that was really dark and ugly on the inside. It was almost as big as ours, and you can see it's got some nice vinyl siding. It's got new windows, that's nice. It's got a concrete drive, which is nice. Little fenced in yard. The worst part about this one is it's on a really busy road, and the neighbors are getting restless. Anyways, because it's on a really busy road, I would say we are definitely in a better setting. And given how dark this was, the fact that it sold for $95 is a really good sign. All right, so this one is 657 Ranny. Now this is the one that sold for $100,000. It is about the same size as ours, and it was very nice inside. However, there are 2 things I want you to notice. Firstly, you see the washout in the roofing shingles. That scares people a lot of times. The other thing, and probably even bigger, is this is a 0 lot line. You see how you kind of share the drive with your neighbor? That is definitely less than desirable. Another important thing to note about this one is it sold for $100,000 and it did it in 1 day. So what that tells us is they very well could have sold it for less than they should have. Let's go back to the office and we'll figure it out. All right, I think we've got a winner in 6-4 Faust, Akron, Ohio. We've done the comps. We've identified that there is a spread. There's real room there. We drove the comps. We can see that they're nothing more than what we have. In fact, maybe not quite as much. And we've gone through our checklist. We can see that the rehab's going to be pretty darn minimal. I think we've got a winner. What we've also learned is because there are so many 3s and 4s on our property inspection checklist, this house is probably best suited for a rental. We probably don't need to go in and do a bunch here. Let's just go clean it up and rent it. That's what I'm thinking for Faust. Can't lose with this one. No matter what we do with it, it's worth more than what we're paying for it. Simple way to get rich, right? Buy assets, buy assets. This is an asset, it's a good deal, it's a buy. And so we did. Paid $47.5, even though they only asked $45, because they got us into a bidding war. Sometimes that happens. Either way, it's all good. It's worth more than we pay. If you like making money, hey man, hit the like button. Spread the word, this stuff works. We're bringing it to you every single week with free video content. Glad to bring it to you. Until we see you again, good luck, God bless you. May all your parents have very rich children.